Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of our 4th Age Total War Dunland campaign. And in this one, we have just gotten to the point where we can construct the second tier of Orcish recruitment at the Misty Mountains Hold. So we can build an Orc den. Now, the first tier of the building just gives us these two units, Orc Raiders and Snaga Hunters. I'm probably going to give both of these guys a hard pass. Snaga Hunters are actually somewhat useful. Especially as garrison. You notice that they have half the upkeep of the Orc Raiders, but the same unit size, and they have bows. The bows' missile attack is quite low, but nevertheless, in large numbers, they could be useful. So we could train up a bunch of these, and in fact, I may do that just so I can get these guys out of here, although we're not saving all that much, considering the amount of money that's coming in. But I guess we'll queue up a few. And we will actually want to be training pretty consistently out of here to keep the population kind of manageable. We don't want to let unrest become too much of an issue. But at the second tier, once we get this thing built, we're going to have some very, very nice options. We will have the Orc Band, which is not really what I'm talking about here. These guys are just okay, but very low defense, 17. Orc Hunters are bows with spears, so they are more than twice the cost of our Snaga Hunters, but they do have a bit of defense. They've got a bonus fighting riders, so they're a bit of a double threat, I guess. If we were to make like an orc-only army, you would definitely want to lean on these guys more than the Snaga Hunters. But the top two things, these are the high-tier units. We've got Orc Blades and Orc Champions. Now, Orc Champions are, without a doubt, like the best of the units that Dunland can train, I would say. They are, in terms of the Orcs. They've got, a fairly low defense, but Warcry improving the attack, bonus fighting riders, effective against armor, good stamina, fast moving. So these guys have a lot going for them, especially that bonus against armor. But really, it's the unit size. I mean, the fact that there's 121 soldiers, all of them Warcrying, all of them good against armor, all of them with a decent attack and charge. So there's just a lot to like about this unit. But I fear sometimes it may cause people to overlook this little guy here, the Orc Blades. Now they look a little less intimidating perhaps in terms not only of their appearance but also maybe in their stats, although you'll notice that the defense is the same, so we both got a defense of 13. It's just that these guys have a better parry dodge and a worse armor / toughness. So these guys are going to be better in melee but worse at fending off arrows, I guess. They, however, do have Warcry, and they have good stamina. So the things that they are missing is the effective against armor, the bonus fighting riders, the powerful charge. So these are not amazing or anything, but they're half the cost of Orc Champions in terms of upkeep, so that's nice. Same number of orcs per unit, and I just like these guys because this is the only Orcish unit that is only available to Dunland. Even a Dunabar cannot train Orc Blades, so it's just kind of neat for that effect. So what we'll be doing is kind of mixing and matching the Orc Blades and the Orc Champions as we get this built up. Otherwise, we're getting everything ready to go north. In the last episode, we fended off an attack by a Dunabar who very cleverly just barely followed the AI's rule about not trespassing over territory on its way to attack you. Because they found this contact point between these two provinces. So what I need to do is push back and clear them out, and then and do that actually in two different directions simultaneously. So let's take this force here, and I think we'll do a little mixing and matching because we don't need absolutely all. Well, we can get rid of some cav here and get them back for retraining. That freed up, let's see, 2 slots. Since we're doing so good in terms of money, I think we need some more substantial cav. But otherwise, we'll go with this. And I'm going to ignore this army. What we're going to do is just send a scout up here to see what we're looking at in terms of military forces in the region. Let's see. Okay, it's not looking too bad. At 3 ways itself, we've got, some low-tier stuff. And a little further into the north, yeah, there's not too much around here. I'm going to bring that scout back here because, okay, we can't quite attack that army on our way to 3 ways. But let's set up in a very intimidating position here. We'll go right, I think this will be sort of the top of a hill. We'll set up here, see if they have any response to us. Elsewhere in the south, we're just besieging Lymphalis. We're waiting for that to time out. I'm not in a huge rush there. We've got some construction going everywhere else. We've beaten back Rohan, I think, sufficiently. We can't, unfortunately, take this settlement and do the gift it to somebody else trick. Well, I guess we could, but it seems like it wouldn't matter too much. I want to keep Rohan alive, and they only have, I think, 2 other settlements at this point. So we'll leave that alone. In Edoras, we can build up something, and we've got 10,000 or so coming in this turn. So we may as well go for something like, yeah, let's do Shrines of the Shadow, because as you can see, we're getting a bit of unrest here. We've moved the king or the high chieftain Sheld with Harumor, so he's starting to convert the population, as you can see here, and that means we're getting a bit of unrest. So we need to flip the province to officially cultic, and I think we'll be able to do that once this thing is finished. So otherwise, we're seeing what Adunabar is going to do. Okay, they are going to respond to that. Very nice. So we'll get a battle right off the bat here on the highlands or the moors outside of Three Ways. So I think this is going to be a pretty straightforward one. Now, the thing that's occurring to me about Adunabar is that in the north, they're fairly weak. They don't have the military presence in terms of their infrastructure, and they don't have the population up here to really throw a lot of bodies at you. The other thing that they're missing is the Orcish recruitment potential. Down in the south, around Mordor, of course, they have a lot more of that. So they've got a lot more just orc holds, and they're all sort of tightly concentrated, so they can do a lot more damage to you in that way. But up here, I don't think we're going to be seeing too much. Now, the thing that would be rather annoying is seeing a lot of trolls. But I guess all we can do is hope that they've spent all their trolls in fighting the Reunited Kingdom. Alright, let's get all of our archers together. Let's see, we've got 2 of these guys, 2 of these guys. Put them out around here. And yeah, our cav, I guess, can be back just in the back row. Okay, and we'll just turn everybody. This is mostly going to be down to melee. Our archers are not going to do all that much damage, just because they've got a lot of pretty well-armored guys. But this is, again, going to be mostly just infantry, swordsmen, it looks like. So a pretty basic army all around. Let's get our axemen over here. And, you know, I don't think there's a lot of point in holding back our wolf hunters either, because they don't have any ranged. So we may as well get them out and act as frontline combatants. Hopefully they will have enough time to throw those javelins, and so to buy them some time. We'll get the dogs just behind, and what that's going to do, hopefully, is, well, we'll rush them out ahead, and that'll foul their charge, is the plan. We are doing more damage to them than I would have thought. But yeah, our wolf hunters are already throwing. This is fantastic. Alright, so by the time they get right about here, we're going to loose the hounds. Look at all of this. Just a lot more effective than I would have thought. Alright, I think that's about time. These guys are just going to skirmish away, and I'm just going to let them come to us because we've got javelins still. Yeah, everyone's still throwing, so we may as well let them do that. Well, Warcry, yeah, we're going to start to see some routing already, and that's why we've got the cav back here, just to chase those routers, really. Let's bring them around to this side. And then our archers are also going to be useful primarily as a way to flank, yeah. Yeah, this is all going about as I expected it would, so very, very nice stuff. This will basically just allow us to clear out all of those, well, a lot of the armies in the area. Certainly not all of them. I guess one concern, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, is the Shire. That is, if you've played the game for a while, you know that the Shire has a potential to be extremely powerful as an economic and population boom center. And that's because of just the mechanic, the way villages work. The Shire has a lot of little villages, and those all contribute to, you know, income. So if you, as a mannish faction, take over the Shire, then you can be just in basically all set for the rest of the game. So Adunabar has done that, and they're probably going to be reaping the rewards there. Okay, that's the actual handlers are out there in the fight. Okay, so a clear victory there. You can see we lost. Wow, not too bad. Less than 100 losses, I think. But yeah, Adunabar has all of the Shire, and so they're probably making a lot of money. The question is, what are they going to be doing with it, right? So when the AI has a lot of funds, they train a lot of stuff. Typically, the AI trains far faster than its ability to grow in terms of population. So the AI Adunabar now is probably training all of their, like, Swords of the Shadow and dark bows and so on. So that's, I guess, my hope, that they're sort of squandering their wealth and their population. But let's go up here, and maybe we can get a sense of population by checking a Numinas. Yeah, 465. So that's actually great news for us. I don't know if we're close enough to see Fornost. Nope. But up here, Forodrain. No, we just don't have enough information. But the fact that Numinas is so low in population could be down to the Reunited Kingdom and the fact that you know, they've just been through these wars. But I think it may be more likely that we're looking at just a combination of things. And they're draining the population all over the place. Okay, so in 3 ways we can now put this under siege. We're probably going to be attacked in the next turn, because they can reach us. But they may figure that we're too strong of an army to deal with, unless they've got some other large army hanging around. And let's move our scout. I think, if they've recently taken over the Shire, they may have big armies somewhere in the neighborhood. But I'm not seeing them. Okay, so don't know where those armies are. That's a little unsettling. But let's get this scout up towards Rivendell. And we're actually blocked here by this small force. So it looks like Adunabar is not too interested to head towards Swanfleet. That's great. We'll put that under siege. And again, I'm going to buy up pretty much all the cav that I can at this point. There's no reason not to. Lymphalis, we're looking at just 2 seasons left. And otherwise, I think we're largely in wait mode in terms of our population growth. But of course, we're under siege at Edoras yet again. Now, this... Okay, they've got a lot of cav. They do have 3 infantry units, which means that they may be in a position to attempt an assault. If they do that, that's great, because we'll be able to beat them. I'm pretty sure, given what we have. Their infantry units are so small that it's just not going to be that much of a concern. Let's just keep climbing up the building tree here, just a little bit higher, mustering fields, and I think this will be where we will end, because we have a financial policy, which means we're not able to build any higher than Tier 2 for our military stuff. But Tier 2 is worth building because it'll get us some light cav, very, very light cav. But some lancers at least in the Rohan region. The other thing that I'm planning around here, and it's probably going to be at Edoras, although maybe Hornburg, I guess we'll see. One of the specialization buildings that we can build, and we have to get this major province done first, is the Cultic Scions building. Now what that does, it doesn't describe in detail here, but we've got 2 sort of cultic-specific specialization buildings. The Cultic Temple City goes for public order, essentially, happiness, and allows you to control what might be an unruly settlement. In practice, I don't go for this very much because it is an investment, and by the time you can build it, you probably have other means of keeping the province under control, or you wouldn't be in a position to build this in the first place. What may be more useful for us is the Cultic Scions of Dunland. This allows basically the other cultic units to be trained. So there are basically 4 cultic unit types that are universal for all the cultic factions who can sort of flip to the shadow cult. Some factions get more or less So, for example, a Dunabar gets the full suite. They can train all of the Shadow Guard. They can train, the Shadow Riders, the Dark Bows, all of those cultic-ish units. But for Dunland, Harad, and Rune, when they convert to the cult, their roster changes into a mix of their native stuff and their cultic stuff. As you've seen, we get the 3 infantry types: the axes, the swords of the Shadow, and then the spears. There is a 4th unit, however, Shadow Riders, which is a very heavily armed cavalry unit with lances, shields, excellent armor, and we can get that only if we construct this building. So I think that'll make sense for Edoras, because Edoras is a horse province, right? So it just makes sense to train this evil perversion of Rohan's heavily armed cav in their own capital. So that's going to be the plan for Edoras eventually. But meanwhile, I think we'll maybe train just a little bit more stuff here. We've got some cav already queued up. Let's do a few more. I think we'll bring these guys. Let's see. Yeah, I think there is a point to bringing them down. We'll just have some nice cav units here to help sort of chase off any routers. And in Dunhold, let's see. Let's go with our Dunlanding Hillmen. We haven't trained up any of these guys yet. Okay, as expected, we are attacked by a Dunabar. They've just got 3 units attacking us outside of 3 ways. Alright, so we've got the larger garrison army coming from our left. The main army is somewhere straight ahead of us, or the attacking army, rather, and they're just 3 units strong. They've got some high ground, I suppose, but we've got time, I think, to keep this army together and deal with them, and then turn to the left and deal with the reinforcements and potentially get the settlement. So we'll go ahead and speed things up here just so we approach. They may come down at us once we start getting in position and shooting at them. Yeah, it looks like they're not going to wait around. We've got everybody sort of hanging back here. In fact, I should have had these guys on fire at will, but I did not. Wolf Hunters are in the sort of the middle of the pack there, and I don't want to risk them too soon. What we want to do is kind of hold off, because these guys cannot be retrained anymore since we are officially cultic. And we'll go ahead and throw in my general and these Eriador Rider mercenaries, but as you can see, we're getting some nice routing already here. I'm thinking once these guys get caught up to by the cav, they're going to run as well. All of my axemen are still doing well, haven't fought any engagements yet. These guys may just withdraw off the field, which would probably be fine, actually. And let's see, yeah, these guys are losing. Let's go ahead and shoot them in the back a little bit. We're going to risk some friendly fire there doing it, but I'm not too concerned. And let's see what this army is doing. It looks like they're keeping their captain well back, and their army is going around behind me, potentially. So I'm not sure if they're trying to outflank us from downhill, or if they've got something cleverer in mind. These guys are holding out a lot better than I thought they would. We're definitely taking some losses among our Eriador Riders, but that's okay. These guys are really expensive, at least for a Dunlanding unit. And so if we take losses there, not such a huge deal. We can retrain them too at some of the local forts, I believe. Let's see, yeah, they are kind of coming through the woods here, which is really not favorable for them. And we're just whittling down the captain's unit there. There they go, finally. We'll bring these guys back. And they're all routing. We'll just let them get off the field. Again, not too concerned with this. With this force, though, I think I will turn them. And we should be in a pretty good position to just have the uphill advantage and be fighting in the woods. And all these guys should be routing fairly quickly, I would think. Alright, this is a weird one. We just timed it out, essentially. The AI decided, the garrison army, that they would just hang out in the woods. We managed to drive off their captain, who was completely isolated, but the rest of the army just stood there, and I think it's because all of our units are hidden. So there was kind of this tense face-off where they were on one side of this valley, I was on the other side of the valley. Neither of us wanted to come down into the middle there. So we've got our army largely intact. We took out about half of their total force. So that's fine. I'm okay with that. We're not going to get the settlement, but at least we've dealt some damage to them, and we've got to play a little conservatively with our units, because we can't retrain these wolf hunters, and training or retraining our native units is going to be harder the further north we move. We actually did a lot of damage to them in this last fight. They've only got a couple units of Grim Spears, a couple understrength units of Dark Swords. I think this would be a pretty quick battle we can fight and then get the settlement for ourselves. Well, here we are for the Battle of Three Ways. Pretty straightforward start. We've just bashed through the gates. We have had a little bit of archer fire as the enemy was arrayed just inside the gateway range. But after that initial little skirmish, they fell back here. And so here we are with our Dunlandish axemen pushing into the center here. We've got our Chieftain's Guard unit as well. Bulka of Dunland, who is hacking in here. Both of the captains, they've got a small reinforcing force, are units of Dark Swords. Actually, one is Grim Spears. Not very many men or very high tier men. Over here, we've got some Grim Spears back at the plaza. Guess we can bring our Wolf Hunters and Axes of the Wolf around this way to flank. Hopefully get these guys scared. We've also got our Hounds fighting somewhere. I released them earlier. I should probably pull back the Handlers. Otherwise, they will just get involved with the battle, and you don't necessarily want that. Go ahead and halt all the Wolf Hunters here. They're going to automatically start throwing, probably at these guys. I think we will go ahead and war cry these Axes of the Wolf. They're about to be in melee, I would say. Let's see how all this is going to go. Okay, so that's just, they're shooting at the tiniest unit. They're going to charge out, probably going to rout instantly. Yes, and they're going to go back to the plaza where we will deal with them. Let's actually halt. We don't want to get into a big straight-up melee. Let's pull them over in this direction. We want to pull away from the plaza with you. I guess we can charge in with the... actually, no, let's wait. Let's wait. Let's try to see if we can get them out of the plaza. That's always kind of the goal. And obviously try to get them to use their javelins. Wolf Hunters in the back cause these both units to rout pretty quickly, so we'll go ahead and follow up. Maybe we can get a nice rout everywhere. Was that our general getting killed? No, that was the enemy commander. Okay, great. So we'll just go ahead with the end state for the victory there. Lost about 60 or so. Not too bad. And that's 3 ways for us. So the question is where to go from here. There's not too many people, but may as well lay desolate, I guess. We do have the benefit of, let's see, is there a watchtower somewhere already built? We get a lot of line of sight, more than I was expecting. But the question is, yes, what to do now? One line of thought would be to give this to Tharbad. They might be able to make better use of it than we could, although we can certainly get it down to a yellow face just by lowering the taxes there. 3 Ways already has some Shrines of the Shadow, and as we conquer into Adunabar's territory, we're going to find more of that. So a lot of these cultic buildings are already made. The other advantage of the settlement is it does have the potential to be a good income grower. It's got a resource of iron, which can be very valuable. The problem is that the border is not really in our favor. It really controls, as you would imagine based on the roads, controls access to the north, because we've got the river here, the Brandywine, which really only has a couple of crossings. It's got this one right at Sarn Ford. It's got the other one up at Bucklebury. And so that really, we don't have too much to worry about from our left, although theoretically they could come down through Sarn Ford and hit 3 Ways. They could certainly come down from the north, and they could also come down from the northeast around Lastbridge. And we've got a scout over here. Can confirm that Lastbridge is up to 3rd tier of military development, meaning it can train Swords of the Shadow, Horsemen of the Shades. These are not, the most elite possible units, but they're getting up there. And they are, especially those swords, pretty formidable, going to have good morale, certainly better than what we've been seeing so far. The thing that's a little more concerning to me right now is this largish stack. Now, close up, it's made up of a lot of these Ariador Spearmen. These guys are basically mass routes waiting to happen, and having a lot of them in an army is kind of nice because it can spread that fear to these other units like the Swords of the Shadow or even the Shadow Riders. On the other hand, they do have some orcs as well, kind of a mixed bag. We've got the Orc Raiders, which are really not worth much, but they do make up numbers. But we do have some Uruk Guard, which is interesting to see way up here. I think this is probably one of the starting units that they just never used up. So we're probably not likely to see more of those units. But the fact that Adunabar is uncontested in the north means that if they have any of these orc holds, they can train trolls. And I really don't want that to happen. The other thing that is occurring to me is we've got the Shire here. Now, technically, they lost Westmarch, Adunabar did, and they're probably going to retake it, but they're having a little bit of a difficulty holding it. But as we've talked about, the Shire can be super lucrative. Look at all these little villages, these minor towns. These contribute to wealth. And if you've ever looked at the finances screen in 4th Age Total War, you may notice that the Shire does very well. It's because of all these little villages, I guess, as far as I can tell. When you take over the Shire as a Mannish faction, you can do very well also. So now that Adunabar has it, I'm a little concerned about what they're going to do with it. One thing that I would like to find out in this playthrough is if we give this to our protectorate Tharbad, we give them Bucklebury, Mickledelving, and Undertowers. We give them these 3 settlements. Is that money going to filter back to us? Because we're not making a lot from Tharbad right now. Last season, we didn't make anything in tribute from them because they don't have any money left over. They just don't have a very lucrative position. But if they have the Shire, would we essentially be money laundering our abuse of Hobbit lands? So that's something I do want to try out a little bit later. And maybe, I don't know, maybe sooner rather than later. Again, 3 ways can make a lot of money, but only if it's surrounded by provinces that can trade, right? That's at least a large part of its income. And it's right now surrounded to a great extent by enemies, right? And I don't necessarily want to fight all these enemies. So I think we need to be a little more ruthless. Let's see what we can destroy here. Certainly get rid of the mustering fields. Maybe keep everything else just because, Tharbad may want to make use of it, I guess. And let's get our diplomat around if we can find one. All right, we've got one down here at Central Enedwaith. All right, we'll go up to Londere, and we're going to offer you the province of 3 Ways. As usual, we're also going to offer some cash as part of the deal. This time, since I'm not really swimming in money necessarily, I've got over 50 grand, but it's not excellent. Let's give them 6,000 as opposed to something like, 10,000, which is what you'd do if you really wanted it to work. All right, and they'll take it. So we're giving them a little bit of cash. Again, they're going to probably kick that back to us very soon. And so now, theoretically, now we really don't need to worry about attack from the north. For now, because what we are going to do is immediately go over here and attack Sarn Ford. Now, the thing about this is it's an unwalled settlement, so we can assault immediately. I imagine these dark swords are not going to be sticking around too long, but we do have a family member back there, and a Adunabar nobles unit sort of holding down the garrison. So he will be a bit of a tough unit to deal with. In the back, we've got, looks like, some spears and swords, so nothing too crazy, but he is going to be giving them a little bit of a morale bonus. Does, however, give something for our pikes to do, so let's see how they hold up against this. He's charged right in, but I think it's not going to go so well for him. Definitely getting some losses. These pikes are not the ideal unit, but they're a deep, sort of thick formation to kind of work through, especially for just a single bodyguard. Let's bring our, let's see, what do we have here? Okay, we've got a couple of armor-piercing units, our Axes of the Wolf and our bodyguard. Bring them around. Trying to pull out some of these other units with archer fire, but we're not getting a very good angle over here. We do have warhounds. Not quite sure how best to use them. I think we want to wait for some of these units to get out of the square and then send them in as fear-causing units. Wolf Hunter is doing great work here, finally routing those dark swords. These guys are not going to rout at all, though, unfortunately, unless they come down out of the plaza of their own accord. And that's the end for the general there. So this will be a long attrition kind of fight. Let's go ahead and send the general, send the Axes of the Wolf, and we'll just attrite these guys down. And we've got Sarn Ford. Now again, not sure if I really want this settlement. I think we could go ahead and just occupy it. It's not too much we can make out of it. Although, you know what? I never take the enslave option, and this would be a perfect faction to do it with. Not that we really need the population, I guess. But let's lower the taxes, get rid of their mustering fields. I suppose I could probably also make some money with their town councils and their dominion building. That's going to be nice there. And they don't really like us, although we are at 70. So theoretically we could hold it. But again, I think we want to be out in the field. We want to be taking some of these provinces and giving them to Tharbad. So not really a lot of point in us holding on to Sarn Ford. Let's stay inside. Again, we're going to use our diplomat, see if they'll take this one. I'm going to guess that they'll take this for just 3,000. And indeed they will. So we've given them, a decent amount of cash already. But again, I think this is all going to kick back to us. Now, this, again, frees up our army, so we don't need to worry about keeping a garrison force inside. And let's move into the Shire. Let's set up like a nice little ambush potentially right here. And I want to see what the AI is going to do. Are they going to try to take back these settlements from Tharbad or not? Well, this is very interesting indeed. Adunabar wants a ceasefire from me. Now, this would be a situation where we could probably get a decent amount of cash out of them. We don't share a border with them just yet. We will very soon once Swanfleet falls. But we don't now. But, it's a question of, since I do plan to fight them anyway, it might be better to do so now before they get more built up. Tell you what, we're going to try something that's almost guaranteed to not work. And we'll see if we can get them to be our protectorate. We'll just give them our 47,000 Mirian. They're not going to go for this. No, for sure not. We could have gotten maybe some money out of them. They're going to attack us on... we ambushed them. Oh, wonderful. So I'm glad we didn't get the ceasefire there, or that would not have been an ambush. So they have no time to prepare. This is going to be a fun one. Just a bunch of very squishy units and some slightly less squishy units. But this is what Dunland excels at. All right, we've got archers on both sides. We've got wolf hunters over here. We've got axemen over there. I don't know where they're going to try to go. Let's see. There's not really any hope for them. I mean, we're shooting at them already from both directions. Let's go ahead and tie them up with some dogs. They can't escape, I don't think. So I don't think there's really much point in them trying to move to the edge of the battlefield. Unless I'm wrong, maybe they just can withdraw. That would be a very unfortunate anticlimax. Let's move everybody up. Yeah, it looks like they're certainly heading in that direction. Wow, first one to rout is the captain. It's a Rydor spearman, so I guess it's not too terribly surprising. But I've never seen the AI just absolutely nope out of an ambush like this. It makes a lot of sense, right? If you can just withdraw, then why wouldn't you? But it is very frustrating because I'd love nothing more than just a clutch, clamp down from both sides. All right, so they're reforming on the hilltop here, I guess. Very frustrating little opening to our ambush. You just want to smush them from both sides. But all right, they're going to turn around and face us, it looks like. See, have our dogs caught up to them? I guess they have. That's possibly why they've stopped. Grim Spear is routing pretty quickly. Let's just bring everybody up. I guess not too much point in waiting around here. And that's it. We'll go ahead and wrap this up just to run down everybody who we can. And not to be outdone, the rebels of Lymphalis have decided to sally on what would be the very last turn. I'm not sure that I'm going to bother showing this. We may even auto-resolve it. It's not really a battle that I care to fight. We're going to do so well. We're close to our support. We can get a lot of these guys just retrained. Yeah, let's just auto-resolve. Okay, we lost 400 men. Totally fine. We're going to get the settlement here. We want to occupy for sure. So yes, got Lymphalis, occupied it, because the population is, well, I guess it's not going to take too long to get back, but we have a lot of building to do here. There's just absolutely nothing in this settlement, but it should count as a homeland for us, and so this is going to be yet another really nice recruitment center. Now what we can do is take these guys and leave, let's leave the Orc Raiders behind. Yeah, they're just fine with that. Move these guys over to Dunfada, and where we will repeat the same in the following few turns. So I think this makes a good point for us to end the episode. We have not really expanded our territory all that much apart from Lymphalis. We've got some more coastfront property, but we have expanded our empire in the sense that we've given our protectorate of Tharbad a couple of settlements to the north, and that's helping to make us more secure against Adunabar. And we're going to send this army further north and see if we can become more financially secure against Adunabar relatively soon. Let's just go ahead and put this under siege and see what happens when the Hobbit lands are farmed by good, honest men of Tharbad. Of course, we're not going to forget what we're doing in the east, where we are still building up our Misty Mountains hold to get some of those tougher orcs. Going to be taking Swanfleet in a few seasons, probably Austin Ethel. Take this, even though it's not going to do too much for us. We won't have any building options. We can at least exploit the gem resource and get some trade going with the dwarves, at least temporarily, and then move up towards Rivendell. So I think we're going to be in a pretty good position here very soon. So thanks for joining me for this one, and I hope you'll stick around for next week's episode. Until then, take care.